from our fourth show, videotaped in 1981, Pa Keeler on muzzle loading. Muzzle-loading rifles, they've played an important part in history, and like the wild turkey, they're coming back, right, Pa Keeler?
Right, you are. They sure are.
Pa, you're from Eaton Rapids, and you're really the dean of muzzle-loader rifle builders and users, and you're in the Muzzle-Loading Association. You write an article every month in Michigan Out of Doors, Pa's Powder Horn.
That we do.
And boy, do you look the part. What is this you have on?
Well, typical buckskins that a French voyageur would have worn back in the up to about 1830 or 40.
Would they have been green like that?
Yeah, more than likely. Green or brown or whatever color they happen to come out. It depends on what they dyed them, of course. Green and the fringe kind of helped you hide out, and this was made out of a Hudson Bay blanket.
This wool jacket.
Yeah.
You wear this out hunting?
Yeah, well, you can wear it hunting. It kind of takes care of the blaze orange thing.
Sure. What about this knife here?
Well, that's patch cutter. It deer horn handle and.
Did you make this yourself?
Yeah.
Well,
Most of the stuff you build yourself.
Most of what you're wearing you built?
Yeah.
What about your hat?
Well, not hardly that.
Okay,
although,
but that's a traditional type hat that you would have worn
the
back
black
in the...
hat would have been worn back in that type of country.
Okay, well now to get into that powder pouch years and all, let's work into that through these guns. First of all, let's talk about briefly some of these that you have. This one, an octagonal barrel here, a percussion cap that you'd set right there.
Yeah, 50 caliber. It's a typical half-stock plains rifle like would have been used back in the old days and being used around here. There's more of this type of a gun being hunted with than any other.
Our Michigan muzzle loaders are using these types.
Yeah.
Okay, and here we're down to a very interesting shotgun or rifle. What is it?
It is. It's both.
Both.
It's a typical gun made about 1850 in Ionia, Michigan by a T. Smith. And at that time in Michigan, when you went hunting, you didn't know whether you was going to run into a bear or a bird, so you loaded for both of them. Okay. And an awful lot of the Michigan guns were combination guns. They just sort of served a double purpose.
And very ornate also. There's
they did dress them up just a bit. Man's name is on the lock here.
So this is an original old...
Yeah, that's
okay, well that's our
old now.
Shotgun and rifle. And of course, here's how you...
That's about as far as you could get from the old one. That and just partially completed. A friend of mine is building that out to my place, and he kind of bogged down for the summer, but he's going to be back at it pretty soon. And this is where you want the kind of a rifle, if you want to get what you want, you got to start out with a block of wood and build it. Kit are fine. There's lots of people can use kits, but if you want a specialized gun, the way you get it is
build it yourself.
Build it yourself, right.
Okay, now let's get down here to this last one, which is the old flintlock rifle.
This is a flintlock. It's
older than the percussion cap.
Oh yeah, much older. This type of lock lasted 300 years and didn't go out of style until 1835, and then they kept building trade guns, and the snake on the other side of this designates a trade gun.
Oh, okay.
That's they used those a lot, and they traded the Indians, traded the trappers this type of a gun.
Okay, now what you do with this type of rifles, you
pull it back, put flint in here, close this, then you pull that trigger and it hits that and makes a spark.
And you'll see the sparks, right like that. How about doing that for us? Load this up for us.
We can. I assume you don't want it loaded, really.
Not with a ball or any pellets.
In this pouch, you would have everything you need to load it with. This is a typical old original powder flask made out of horn. The charger holds about 2 grams, which would be a light 20 gauge load.
Okay, put a little powder right there.
And that's black powder.
Okay. We'll drop that down in the barrel. That's what you do out in the woods.
Put that in the barrel and put the cover back on, of course. Then you would dig in, if you was going to load it with shot, you would put this wad in there.
Drop a wad down in there. And
that would go in tight, and we'll leave that part out.
And your ball on top of that. Okay, just sort of a cork type wad.
If you were going to use shot again, your shot would be in this type of a flask. You can drop a load. It's just typical bird shot. That's right.
Now, how does that stay in the barrel?
Well, you have another little thin wad you put on top of it.
Oh, wad on top of that. Okay.
A little thin card wad.
And now, what do you do for the rifle? You drop a lead
the rifle,
ball?
you would put a lead ball, and you would use some patching material. That's where the patch knife comes in. This has had a piece or two cut out of it where you've pressed it down on there and cut a round hole.
How about putting that powder charge in the pan?
Okay. Alrighty. We'll jar it down a little bit.
Now
this is a priming horn. This is fine powder.
Okay, you drop the powder in the pan. What's going to happen is the flint is going to spark, ignite the powder in the pan, go through this little hole that you clean out, ignite the powder in there.
Yeah, and this is
Shoot
a
it
touch
off.
hole, Peck, that you usually keep it clear. Now, you understand that these are like a temperamental youngster. When you're showing them off, they don't always do it.
Well, let's see what happens. Pa Keeler firing the old flint. Wow. That's the way.
It worked that time.
How many deer have you gotten with a muzzle loader?
8 mule deer, whitetails, a mule deer and an antelope.
Well, that was Fred Trost in 1981, show number 4. Here we are